The auto market here in the United States is slowing down. Check this out. For the month of February, for the manufacturers reporting, that is. Okay, so we don't have General Motors, we don't have Stellantis. Things could be worse than what it appears here. For the manufacturers that are reporting, only just 7. And man, look at Volvo. Holy smokes, minus 41% for Volvo. We'll see what happens from here, but that's not a good result. Future Kirk here. I was able to find some Volvo sales. Now, it's not for February, but year over year, they're minus 39.5%. February was worse because we look here, they were down 36%. February, they were down 41.7%. So we're just going to extrapolate to see which models are just in the absolute tank. EX30, no surprise. EX90, the brand new EV, full of bugs. I mean, look, it's no sales. Look at this. It's down about 83%. No one wants this thing. I would take an XC90 every single day over the week. 365 for the rest of my life over the EX90. That's just me. Okay. Some people might like having that electric bug fest. Rest in peace, Volvo S60, especially the plug-in hybrid. S90, rest in peace, because it's made in China. V60, rest in peace. They're still making some one of my favorite cars from Volvo, the V60 Polestar tuned. V90, only 5 sales a year. Okay, so here's the big volume sellers, and they're all in the absolute tank. XC40 down 28%. This shouldn't be happening. This is one of their best-selling vehicles. Okay, it shouldn't be down this much, but you'll see when we get to Subaru. Subaru is struggling too in certain models. XC60. Now the XC60 here down 41%. What's going on? XC60? This is between the XC60 and XC90, they're by far the 2 best-selling models, obviously, but it's down 41%. Are you kidding me? What's happening there? Is the new EX60 going to save it? Well, if you look at the sales of the EX90, EX30, it's not gonna be good. I'm not saying it's not a good car. I am saying the EX30 and the EX90 are not good cars. I will say that. Yeah, sorry, the EX30 and XC90 down 25%. Holy cow. What's Volvo going to do to turn this around? Remember that they have a plant in South Carolina, but instead of making the XC90 and the XC60 there, they decided to make Polestars. And they still decided to make the EX90 there. How's that working for them? If you don't have production capacity past like 75-80% at the plant, you're losing money. That plant's nowhere close. Nowhere close. They're probably not even at 50% production capacity. They need to be making the XC60 and the XC90 and probably the XC, maybe not the XC40, but definitely the 60 and the 90 in South Carolina. But tariffs are a big role to play. But like, what are we doing here, Volvo? Obviously, they fired their old CEO. They brought back their older CEO. And Volvo is looking to be in the absolute dumpster this year. I still hope I get to review the EX60. Maybe I'll love it. Maybe it'll be one of my favorite EVs. I don't know. Overall, the market is down 0.6%. But again, it could be a lot worse than that if you factor in Dodge and Chevy. Ford down 6%. Lincoln is kind of saving their bacon, which who would have thought? Lincoln saving bacon, up 12%. Ford, though, overall, if you include Lincoln, minus 5.5%. So I've already done videos on Honda and Acura, so check that out. I already did a video on Toyota and Lexus. Like, they're doing great, despite like no RAV4 sales, because a new one is just, I saw my first RAV4 on the road a couple days ago, and yeah, they're just slowly coming out. It's going to take some time. Despite that, Toyota is still positive, even though the bestseller is down like 60% or something. So in today's video, what are we focusing on? Well, we're going to start with Mazda. Mazda is, well, holding strong here, and then we're going to do Hyundai, Kia, which just broke all-time sales records, and we're also going to do Subaru. Where is Subaru? Subaru on here? They have to be. There they are. Subaru down 8%. There's got to be a lot to this. So let's start with Mazda. If you guys are excited, hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, I cover automotive sales updates at the beginning of the month, every single month. I come from a sales background, and I use it to sell cars. So this sort of thing really speaks to me. I enjoy covering it and updating you guys on what the industry is doing. And if a manufacturer is doing particularly bad, that increases the chance you'll be able to get good deals. Now, what's interesting here is Mazda's claiming they had 24 selling days in February compared to 25 the year prior. Well, if I go to Automotive News and look up selling days, they said it's the exact same as 2025. Mazda's including here an extra day last year to make maybe their DSR look a little bit better. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but they included more days last year than they did this year, even though it seems like the industry only had 24 selling days on both years. Kind of bizarre. Second best February sales total ever. So Mazda's still holding on. They're still doing well. But it's been surprising because, well, if we go back to the sales here, Mazda is down. They're down on the year 7%. So they had a really rough January. No surprise the CX-50 is seeing its best month ever, okay, because it's only Mazda made in the United States. So I'm looking at the Mazda 3. Okay, the hatchback has been growing massively, okay, and the sedan has been shrinking massively. Like Mazda's been really strategic about what models they bring in from what models they bring in from Mexico and what models they bring in from Japan. I think most of the hatchbacks are actually made in Japan, and the sedans are mainly made in Mexico. Now, I could be wrong. Okay, there could be some Mazda 3 hatchbacks made in Mexico, but it seems like this is some sort of strategic shift to produce more hatchbacks than the sedan. Mazda MX-5 Miata, yikes. Look how few of these they are selling. This is a travesty. It's one of my favorite vehicles. They haven't updated it really in a long time, but it's down 60% on the month and down 52% on the year. Yowzers. They're saying next gen MX-5 Miata, it could come in 2 years, 3 years from now, and it could be shared with the Toyota GR86 in terms of platform and engines and things like that. We'll see. It's still seemingly too far off. Mazda CX-30, yikes. Again, most of them come in from Mexico, and they're okay to just be like, hey, we're not dealing with the tariffs on this. We're just not going to bring it into America. And it's too price overlapping with the CX-5. It really is. It costs way too similar to the CX-5, and the CX-5 is a better car, way more space. And it's not that much longer. Well, the new one is, but like the outgoing CX-5, like it's just way more of a accommodating vehicle. If you're getting a CX-30, might as well get a Mazda 3 all-wheel drive hatchback. All right. If I'm going to be small and cramped in a car, just give me the one that looks better. That's just me. Okay. And one that handles a little bit better. But the CX-30, yeah, in the tank, just like the Mazda 3 sedan is. You'll figure both of them made in Mexico. Mazda doing some strategy or tactics here. CX-5 up 31%. Well, these are the smart people. They got the old CX-5 who wanted real controls, who wanted better materials, and are okay with a slightly smaller car. The old CX-5 is perfect. It's honestly perfect. No, it doesn't have the biggest, fanciest screens in it, but who gives an F? The controls are perfect. The volume knob is perfect. The rotary dial, you can use it if you want, but your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, just you can use it as a touchscreen. So these are the people that are getting the CX-5, guys, because they don't want the new CX-5. That's why we're seeing a surge in sales here. That's my belief. All right, CX-9, rest in peace. CX-50, volume is up 51% on the year, and volume is up about 39% on the month. Let's do some calculations here. What are they pacing on this model? They're pacing 120,000 units, which is getting close to the theoretical maximum capacity out of that plant for them in Alabama, which is 150,000 units. They are cranking right along. This is the only vehicle, like I said, built in the United States to reduce tariffs as much as possible for Mazda. Okay, CX-70, the CX-70, CX-90, man. These vehicles, I don't have an explanation on why they're doing so poorly. Both of them down double digits. CX-90 down 43% this year. Almost half the volume. I don't know why. The CX-70 down 26% on the year. I'm not sure. Is it due to quality control? Things built immaculately, but in terms of engine and transmission, is Mazda still sifting some things out there? I don't know. I don't know why they're down massively. It's all about calculating losses from tariffs. Okay, they're like, okay, if we sell X amount, we have this much of tariffs that we want to deal with. If we try to sell the full amount that we did last year at this time, well, we're gonna get hit with more tariffs. And like, what's the trade off here? You know, if they have to incentivize a lot after 3,000 units, meaning they have more supply than demand, that means they're going to incentivize and potentially lose money on top of the tariff. So it's a tricky situation with the CX-90 and the CX-70 here. They maybe not be as profitable now. Well, obviously not as profitable, but they're having to reduce the volume to keep the demand and the volume in a healthier, more profitable relationship. I don't think it's what they want. I think this number's really what they want, but I think this is a strategy to mitigate tariffs. So overall, Mazda's cars are down 6% on the month. Their SUVs up 0.6%, really thanks to, right? What was up for Mazda? Mazda 3 thanks to the hatchback and CX-5 and CX-50. That's it. Those are the big volume sellers, and it's keeping them just afloat, just neutral on the year. We're going to head to Subaru. Things aren't so neutral for them, though. Subaru saw an 8.2% decrease. Now, you got to keep in mind, I want to say, like, when did tariffs start last year? Oh, tariffs started April 1st. February, it wasn't so much in February. It was more so in March and April that sales went nuts, due to customers being scared and fearmonger tactic into buying cars now before tariffs hit. So February should be roughly the same in terms of no major political decisions to spur a crazy demand or crazy boost in sales. So February should be about the same here as it was the year before. But Nope, they are going down. And you got to keep in mind, like Mazda, Subaru is pretty heavily dependent on cars coming in, actually less dependent on cars coming in from Japan. About half of their cars coming from Japan, where Mazda's like 70% or something like that. So let's look at this. Ascent. Well, there's going to be a Subaru 3-row EV version of the Toyota Highlander EV. We just haven't got an announcement on that. Ascent's down 10%. I've also heard that there's going to be a next-gen gasoline Ascent, but it's down 10% on the month, 10% on the year. BRZ, we saw the GR86 was down, but the BRZ sold 277 units. Let me look up Toyota here. Where was the GR86? They sold 730 units, so actually a lot more than Subaru. Crosstrek. Down 10%. Crosstrek has been its best-selling model for a while, but look what just happened. 25% boost in Forester, while the Crosstrek is down 10%. Why did this happen? If we look at where these models are built, because that gives us some insight here. The Crosstrek is made in Gunma. So the base models are made in Japan, okay, or base and premium, and sport, limited, and wilderness. So the higher end trims are built in Indiana. So it's very possible that Subaru is just saying, hey, you know, we're going to really reduce the amount of these less expensive, 15% tariff cars coming in from Japan, and we're just going to not offer them. That's a possibility. And we're just going to focus on these trim levels that are built in Indiana for the Crosstrek, because they're not going to be hit as badly with tariffs. Now, Forester, most of the Foresters are built in North America, and including hybrids now. And that's why we're seeing big increases in Forester sales. Outback's made in Japan, okay? And it just got redesigned, and I don't think a lot of people are crazy. I still have to drive it. I haven't driven it. I want to drive it so bad, the new Outback. And this Yajima plant is their second plant. The Gunma is their original manufacturing areas. So the Yajima is a new plant. And let's get back to the sales totals for Subaru. Forester just cranking, man, up 25%. They're probably at max capacity with that vehicle over in Indiana. Impreza down 50%. I'm telling you, I feel like it's only a matter of time before the Impreza's canceled. Legacy, rest in peace. Outback down 24%. Again, the Outback only comes from Japan. So this model heavily hit with tariffs, as well as switching over to the new model, which maybe isn't selling that great. I mean, I'm curious. Cars.com. We're going to go to new. I'm not sponsored by Cars.com. They're just the website that is typically the easiest for me to work with. A lot of you guys ask, hey, what website you use? I never tell you really because I'm not sponsored by them. How many? There's 484. It seems like volume's pretty good on it. These are all the new models. It looks pretty good in black here. Oh, man. A lot of people say like, oh, you know, the old model's so much better looking. I'm not so sure. I was never a big fan of the looks of the old one. Yes, it was more of a station wagon. But it doesn't mean I'm a fan of the looks of the new one. Absolutely not. It doesn't mean that. To me, it looks like a Ford Freestyle or Ford Taurus X, if you guys remember that. That's what it looks like to me. It looks good in green. Availability is good on this, guys. So the sales are just in the tank on the new Outback. And if I look, Forester availability 500, and the Forester is crushing the Crosstrek and the Outback in terms of sales, and availability is roughly the same between all three. So if I go back to the sales results here, Subaru, well, again, that's just my area. So, certain models are going to do better in different areas of the U.S., but like the Forester is just crushing the Crosstrek and crushing the Outback right now, even though there's about equal availability on those models. You gotta keep in mind, the Outback doesn't have a hybrid yet, if I remember correctly. The Crosstrek does, but it's just too expensive for what you get compared to, well, there's not a lot of hybrid competition there. Honda refuses to put a hybrid in the HR-V. The Koreans haven't hybrid. Well, the new Seltos coming is going to have a hybrid, and it's going to smoke. It's going to smoke the competition. There is no availability for the Crosstrek hybrid's main rival. Check this out. It's the Corolla Cross. They only sold 844 right here, 844. They sold 2,200 units this year, which is down over 50%. Okay, and it's down 66% on the month, the Corolla Cross hybrid. So just not a lot of competition on that subcompact crossover hybrid segment. Toyota's not even, they're like, well, we just need our cheapest crossover to be more cheap because that's where the market is. And it seems like they're hardly building the hybrids because the hybrids also get way too close to the RAV4 hybrid cost. And at that point, what are we doing here? Who's going to buy a Corolla Cross hybrid over a RAV4 hybrid when they cost about the same? Okay. One gets better fuel economy, the RAV4. One's bigger, the RAV4. One has better power, the RAV4. Etc. One has better technology, etc. All right, so let's keep moving. Subaru Legacy, like I mentioned, it's sad to see it go. Outback down 24%. Solterra down 20%. This is crazy. This is really crazy. And let me explain why. We'll go back to Toyota here. So Subaru down 21% on their EVs. Subaru has a boatload of EVs coming with the Trailseeker and the Uncharted. If we look at the Toyota's EV sales, BZ right now, the BZ's up almost 100%. They sold 3,200 units in the month of February. We look at Subaru once again, 700 units. So what's happening? I'm not quite sure. Toyota is much more financially sound than Subaru, even though Toyota owns 20% of Subaru. And so these smaller companies like Mazda and Subaru, they have to be a little bit more strategic about how much volume they bring in on certain models. That's my theory. And if the juice isn't worth the squeeze on the Solterra, then they don't care about selling that many. And it's about to get worse if that's the case as well with the Trailseeker and the Uncharted. Toyota's losing money on their EVs. I'm almost positive on that. You can get a BZ, base model BZ, for pretty darn cheap. Okay, like $30,000 I've seen for a base model front wheel drive BZ. Okay, that is going to be hard to beat for Subaru. Subaru just doesn't have the money or the incentives to throw at the Solterra like Toyota does with the BZ, which is the same car. Subaru down 8% on the month, down 8% on the year. And it's going to get worse for them. It's going to get worse for them just from a numbers perspective pretty quickly here because of last year's bull rush to buy cars before the tariffs hit. Let's hit Kia real quick. Kia just set an all-time sales record for the month of February. It's just getting ridiculous how strong Kia is right now. Telluride achieves all-time highest monthly sales within first month of the new model. And I will be driving the new model next week. I'm driving out in a couple, or flying out, not driving out, flying out in a couple days to drive the new Tellurides. Seven Kia models post year-over-year sales increases. Carnival, minivans are hot. Sportage, which is their subcompact crossover, and K4. People need more affordable, small cars too. Hybrid models deliver best ever February sales, up 53% year over year. Hybrids are absolutely crushing it for the manufacturers that can produce at higher levels, and the Koreans are being able to meet the demand as best as possible. Just wait, guys. Just wait till Hyundai and Kia come out with their new 2-motor hybrid across many models. Right now, it's just in the Telluride and Palisade, but it's going to expand to the Sportage and Tucson. The Santa Fe will get this updated, as well as the Sorento, etc. And even the smaller cars could see these hybrids too, like they launched in the K4. All right, so they sold at an increase of 4% over last February. Again, 66,000 units, an all-time record. So if we look at looking at the sales again, how's Kia doing compared to some of the competition? Kia sold 66K right here. Now, if we look at Hyundai, they outsold Hyundai at 65,000. Hyundai Motor includes Genesis, with Genesis broke an all-time sales record for the month of February as well, mainly due to the GV70 doing well. But look, Kia outsold Hyundai. I think that's been for like 2 straight months now. You look at Kia at 66K, you compare that to Mazda at 33K. Kia sells twice as much as Mazda here in the United States, and people don't realize that. Subaru is being outsold by Kia by over 21,000 units. This is outrageous how much Kia is selling, how much Hyundai is selling. Okay, guys, they're creeping up higher and higher and higher. Will either one of them in the coming years pass Honda? I'm not going to say it's impossible, but obviously with their combined forces, they have no problem beating Honda with 137K versus almost 30,000 more than Honda, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. All right, so again, back to the Kia sales. Let's get into this. EV6 is in the dump. EV9 is in the dumps. Okay, Kia 4, again, slightly positive on the month and the year. The K5 here is up 1,000 units on the month, up about 3,000 on the year. K5's crushing it. Kia Soul, rest in peace. Okay, that's why it's down 3,000 units. It's officially dead. Kia Niro. And I'm telling you, the Niro might be on borrowed time, because the Niro is... It wouldn't make that much sense to keep the Niro around as well as the new Seltos, because the new Seltos is just going to be insane. I can't wait for that car. Seltos hybrid. But yeah, the Seltos, look at these sales. I mean, yes, the Niro's up, by the way. The Niro's having a great year this year. Kia's realizing that there's a demand for hybrids, and they're finally, and this is something that's boggled me in the past couple of years, is like the Niro sales have been terrible. Not anymore. All right, then the market needs more hybrids, and the Niro is kind of filling that. The Seltos still doesn't have the hybrid, and so the Niro right now is just kind of filling the gap until the Seltos hybrid arrives later this year. Seltos, though, up 3,000 units on the year and up about 500 units on the month. Okay, so Seltos crushing it right now. Sportage crushing it. Look, it sold 13,900 units. 13,900 units. Let's look at the RAV4. The RAV4 sold 16,000 units. So it almost outsold the RAV4, the Sportage. And that's because Toyota does not have full production strength on the new model yet. Okay, Sorento down. And the Sorento being down makes a lot of sense. It's a 3-row crossover. The new Telluride's available. It's not going to cost that much more, and it's a bigger vehicle, a better vehicle in every conceivable way, as long as it works for your family. I don't know. That's the thing right now with the Santa Fe and the Sorento. These smaller 3-row crossovers, just maybe they're not affordable enough. Okay, because the Telluride and the Palisade are so good and provide so much more value, in my opinion, for families in general. And they just, the styling on the new Telluride is just out of this world. And look at the sales in the Telluride. The Telluride almost outsold the Sportage, which that shouldn't happen. So you have this, you have this sellout of the old Tellurides, and then the new Tellurides are here as well. So I'm going to look at right now. Okay, I've seen quite a few of the new Tellurides already on the streets, and I want to look at what kind of availability we have on the new Telluride. Telluride Hybrid, is that available too? It is available. Oh my gosh, you're not going to get discounts on the Telluride Hybrid, or at least they're in transit right now. The standard Telluride, there's 576. Now, a lot of them are leftover models, and these leftover models, you name your price for sure, because Kia needs to get rid of them. But look, you can get the new LX Telluride for $40,000. That's crazy. And then leftover deals here. So I just want to look at the 26 model year, or 27. There's no 26. I want to look at the 27 model year. And what's the lowest price? I guarantee there's price drops as well already on this thing. Okay, 39,000. Okay, about a little over $1,000 price drop already. This vehicle is going to be such a bargain. Okay, with Range Rover looks, and the interiors is so good too. Yeah, this thing is going to, as well as the Palisade, but this looks way better than the Palisade. This will sell better than the Palisade, in my opinion, and it's built in the United States, so it won't have to deal with tariffs. So Kia can be more aggressive in theory with the pricing here than a lot of its competition. So, with the sales, let's go back to the sales again of this model. 13,200 roughly. 13,200. What about the Grand Highlander? 11,100. It's outsold the Grand Highlander by 2,000 units. Honda's here. What about the Pilot? 10,000. So it outsold the Pilot by about 3,000 units. It is absolutely hog wild right now for the Telluride, printing money. And look at the Carnival, 5,800 units. The good old Odyssey, 5,800 units. So it's tied. It's pretty much tied right now with the Honda Odyssey. And Kia has an advantage here, because the Odyssey doesn't have a hybrid. So if we go to Carnival Hybrid, look at the Carnival Hybrid availability. I'm going to uncheck Telluride real quick. Carnival Hybrid, oh my gosh. As much as I love the Telluride and the looks of the Telluride, I mean, I'd probably buy a Telluride over a Carnival, but guys, 35 miles per gallon here, it's not nearly as good as the Toyota Sienna Hybrid in terms of efficiency. This is a better van in terms of space on the inside and technology. It runs laps around the Toyota, and it's way cheaper than the Toyota. You can go and get a $5,000 discount on a Kia Carnival Hybrid right now, maybe more. It doesn't have the minivan looks, which a lot of people like. Okay, I would get it would I get it in red? Probably, if it's about the same price. Give it to me in red, and it's pretty darn cool. I want to look at the interior because I know this is a base model, but let's take a look. You guys know I love minivans. I can get off track. It's a black interior. Yeah, don't know if I'm sold. Don't know if I'm sold on a black interior on this car. Let's finish up for Kia. Just enormous amounts of volume that they're pushing right now. Good deals are out there, even on the brand new Telluride. That vehicle is going to do great for them. The Sportage is selling at high numbers. The Seltos is doing great. The K4 is doing great. The K5 is doing great. I mean, it's really just their EVs in the dumps. No EV tax credit anymore. People are worried about Hyundai and Kia's ICCU mishap and reliability with those EVs, and then the dealer experience. You have to wait a long time for the part and not get a loaner oftentimes. So people are just like staying away from Hyundai and Kia EVs. And yeah, it makes sense to me. Even though, look, EV6 600 units, and what I say, the BZ's at 2,800, crazy. Let's go to Hyundai and wrap this baby up. Hyundai also had a record-breaking February. Sales increased 6%. Kia was 4%. Third consecutive month of record total sales. Total electrified sales climbed 56%. We saw Kias go over 50% as well. EVs up 6%. Hybrids increasing 79%. Palisade family posts, meaning hybrid and gas, posts all-time February record with sales up 28%. Also, best February sales for Ioniq 5. Really, Ioniq 5. Tucson and Santa Fe. I've seen people talking about discounts of 10 plus grand on Ioniq 5s, and it has to be because there's no more EV tax credit. Tucson and Santa Fe had their best February ever. So let's dive into this. This is going to be fun. Elantra, about neutral. I was just saying, Kia doesn't care about selling their cars, reliability issues, but the ICCU stuff also affects Hyundai. It's just a different strategy. If we look at Kia and Hyundai with their EVs, it's almost a parallel from what we're seeing with Toyota and Subaru with the EV volume. And it's just interesting which companies are pushing hard on EVs and which are not. Hyundai is pushing hard with their EVs right now. Ioniq 6, this car has just been canceled for America. The Ioniq 6N is still coming though. Ioniq 9, 500 sales. It's selling better than Ioniq 6, go figure. And sold 1,000 units so far this year, but this is not what the market wants. 3-row EVs, 800 units for the EV9, 500 units for the Ioniq 9. What's the market going to be for Toyota? Toyota's getting recognition right now with their EVs. They're actually good EVs now. They don't charge as fast as the Hyundai products on DC fast charging, that is. But other than that, they're really efficient, Toyota's EVs. They're fast. They're just a lot better than what they were. I would say that they are competitive now. And very price competitive as well. And then you get Toyota reliability on top of that. It's no surprise to me that Toyota's doing well, especially with Tesla defectors. Kona, it's actually 0% up. It's neutral on the month, the Kona. It's up 10% on the year. Kona needs a hybrid. It still baffles me they didn't launch that model with a hybrid. Palisade, like the Telluride, it's up massively. Up 28%, but the Telluride has sold 3,000 more units than the Palisade this month. Just mind-numbing the volume that those 3-row behemoths are selling at. Santa Cruz, well, this vehicle is canceled. I don't know when it's officially end of production, but we know it lost the war against, and it took on the Maverick head on as best as they could, but not really as best they could because they never equipped it with a hybrid. And it just was losing. It was fighting a losing battle against the Ford Maverick on price and on powertrains and on cutesiness, etc. Santa Fe, up 19%. I just reviewed the Santa Fe hybrid. I thought it was incredible. Where's my spreadsheet? If we look at where the Santa Fe ended up, it ended up in S tier because you can get crazy good deals on it. I thought it was incredible. The styling is not for everyone, but the Santa Fe hybrids, it's just really good efficiency and really good deals out there on the thing. And there's a lot of interior space. The packaging is great. Santa Fe hybrid is just fantastic. And I'm curious now, I know I'm in Kia Carnival land, Santa Fe hybrid. You could get the turbo model now because the turbo has the 8-speed auto instead of the DCT that was failing at really high rates. Oh yeah, $36K for a Santa Fe hybrid, $33K even for the base models. That's a good buy. It's a great car, fantastic value. I mean, these things are almost as cheap as the newly updated, I should say, Nissan Pathfinder with the V6, and you're going to get double the fuel economy. Big fan of this car. And let's get back to Hyundai, and we need to wrap this up. Sonata down. It's interesting, right? The K5's crushing it. Sonata not crushing it. K5 made in... Where is the K5 made? I think it's made here in the United States. Okay, well, it shifted back to Korea. Production for new models have shifted back to Korea. So again, it's just that strategy. Hyundai not trying hard on the large side sedans where Kia seemingly is. Hyundai trying harder with EVs where Kia seemingly isn't. Tucson up 6%, 17,000 units. 17,000 units, it means it outsold the RAV4 this month. Again, because the RAV4 sold 16,000 units. And the Venue. The people need small, affordable cars right now. Venue kind of filling that niche. Kia Soul's gone, for example, so they can kind of capitalize on this small market. The Corolla Cross is doing well, for example, for Toyota. So the subcompacted crossover segments are doing okay. Kona's kind of hanging in there. The Seltos is hanging in there. HRV's down because ADX is taking its production. Crosstrek not doing great. The CX-30 for Mazda not doing great. So it's so complicated. I'd say overall, the subcompact crossover market's still fairly healthy. And it's only going to get better as more hybrids enter the market, in my opinion, as long as they can keep the prices in check. Because we're seeing with the Corolla Cross hybrid, if those prices aren't kept in check, then you might as well just get the bigger brother, okay, the RAV4 or the Sportage or what, you know what I mean. So thank you guys for watching that. That summarizes the sales. I've covered it all at this point for all the manufacturers. And again, here's the scoreboard. All the manufacturers for the month of February. And I'll see you guys, in the beginning of April for the March sales. It'll be a lot of fun. I just enjoy covering this so much to see the strategies these companies are taking, which models are doing well, EVs, how are they doing for each brand, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of deals to be had. The market's really cool. And, you can get 0% financing on a lot of cars right now. You can defer your payments up to 3 months, which I don't recommend. All right. If you have to defer your payments 3 months for financial reasons, don't buy a car. But if you can defer your payments at 0% interest, then what's the point? I mean, you can absolutely defer your payments if you have 0% interest, right? But if you have an interest rate, it's not worth deferring because that interest is going to build. All right. Anyways, thank you guys. I'll catch you guys in the comments. Stay tuned for more here on the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.